Welcome back. Cosatu staged a mass protest against job losses throughout the country today. The Union Federation says it's fighting against massive retrenchments in the public and private sectors. eNCA's Lindokuhle Xulu was at Mary Fitzgerald Square in Newtown and actually marched along with the marchers there. So, Lindo, let's start with turnout because numbers matter. I mean, a few years ago, there was that massive march by Cosatu against e-tolling. I think it was in 2012. So some time back, a lot has happened since then. What was the show of force today over these issues in Johannesburg?
Well, I would shy away from actually comparing it with any other march. Of course, we have attended other marches, but I can tell you that, in fact, they are claimed to say that there will be thousands of people. I can say that there were hundreds of people occupying the streets of Johannesburg there. And if I can just put it into context, if the truck that was leading the march and the leadership in front was turning, it would take quite some time for the rest of them to actually come and turn. And as they were occupying parts of the building, the legislature as well as the Chamber of Mines, there were some that were standing in the far corner. So not everyone was able to actually occupy that whole space. That's all I can say about the numbers, and I can say safely that there were hundreds of them out there.
So a sizable turnout it was.
Yes.
Let's talk about what the tone was. Clearly, at the various points where they went, there was the reading of the memorandum and speeches delivered. What was that like? What was the main thrust of what they were saying?
Well, just what this looks like, it looks like this was a planned march from before, even before we were confronted with this idea of unbundling Eskom, the load shedding that you are seeing this past couple of days. But it's quite interesting enough when we got to the Chamber of Mines, when they were reading that memorandum. They were not actually reading from the memorandum. The CEO of Eskom was there, and therefore it was more of a conversation, more of a this is what we want. But I think this was a march that was planned before to reflect on job losses, to reflect on the fact that there is such a huge number of unemployment at the back of the statistics that we had come out a couple of days before. But today what they were focusing on is, of course, that a pronouncement by the president that unbundling of Eskom is, of course, on the charts.
Yeah, so what was their worry then that they got the chance to express? I did see Pagamani Hadebe there sort of standing in the background as the march got to the Minerals Council offices in the Joburg CBD. So what was the essence of what they were saying about this plan by the president to sort of break Eskom into three components?
Their concerns are that this is a form of privatization. This is a form of a sort of idea that will move Eskom into a private company. And also their concerns are that there will be job losses in this now transformation of Eskom into what it is supposed to be now. But what they were saying, in fact, on the sidelines, when everything was a bit calm and we were speaking to them, having conversations, is that they are mainly concerned about the job losses, and that if Eskom can actually guarantee them that there will be no job losses, then they would actually be able to accept. And they're saying that if we could look at it in a way that if Eskom unbundles, then it will create more opportunities and more employment, then it would definitely be acceptable to them and palatable to them. But the concern here is, of course, privatization, which they said they do not want, and, of course, the job losses that might come with this new form of Eskom.
All right, Lindo, thank you so much for coming through. You're probably too young to remember this, but it actually sounds like the 90s all over again with that confrontation between Labour and government over issues to do with privatization. Thank you so much for coming through. Lindokuhle Xulu.